Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Traveled Back in Time and Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. 1 month later, Gates of Konoha. The month in Suna had passed in a flash. After 2 weeks with the Kazekage, Suna convinced Naruto to reveal his true identity to Raza, which drew a supremely funny reaction out of the stoic cage and left Naruto rolling on the ground in laughter. The main reason Suna wanted Rias to reveal her true identity was to give Gaara a chance to get to know Naruto. She admitted that it wouldn't be the same since Naruto wasn't truly a kid, but it would be better than nothing. Flashback. 2 weeks ago, Kazekage office. Rias and Suna had requested a private meeting with Raza, and he quickly shifted his schedule around to accommodate them. His guests of honor waited less than 10 minutes to be seen and he quickly shooed his dust guards out of the room. Rias flipped through her privacy barrier and placed her hand on the Kazekage's door. Before she spoke, she placed a copy of the privacy tag on the Kazekage's desk. As an offering of friendship, I will install this seal on your desk free of charge with only one simple request. Rias said professionally. Raza picked up the tag and inspected it, knowing that it was a privacy seal of some kind. Is this the same seal you just used? Rias nodded. Very well, what is your request? If it is within my power, I will grant it. It is simple, Lord Raza, you will not reveal what you see and hear in this room to anybody. After you hear me out, you will have the choice of signing an Uzumaki blood contract or having the memories of this meeting sealed away. Mama convinced me to trust you, and I am putting myself at significant risk to do so. Raza hesitated before he asked his question. What would the blood contract entail? If you betray the terms of the contract, specifically you tell anyone about this meeting without my consent, then your chakra will be sealed. I cannot activate it in any way, its only possible activation would be your violation of the terms of contract. You are free to use the knowledge in the best interests of Suna, but you must never tell anyone of what you learn without my prior consent. Rias explained calmly. A hesitant nod prompted Rias to say one more thing. No matter what, please do not freak out. With those last words, Naruto undid the Rias transformation and reverted to the tiny, blonde 5-year-old that he was. Raza's face showed a massive amount of shock, and he was gaping like a fish and pointing before his eyes rolled into the back of his head and he slumped down in his chair before rolling off it and collapsing on the floor. Suna walked over to him with an amused smile on her face before she used a medical jutsu to wake the Kazekage up. Once he returned to consciousness, he gaped and began pointing at Naruto again. Naruto was rolling on the ground laughing his tiny ass off and Suna was chuckling. The Kazekage remained in a stunned pose with finger pointed and mouth gaping for nearly 5 minutes before his professionalism returned and he sat back down in his seat. He cleared his throat and fixed Suna with a glare. Please explain. Were the 2 simple words he used to convey his frustration. Well, Lord Kazekage, it is a long story. Do you have an hour or so free? Naruto asked. Raza nodded and the cover story Naruto initially used with Suna and the third Hokage was told to Raza. Naruto explained away his maturity by saying that his father's seal imparted most of his knowledge and seals into the boy. He told Raza about being the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, which is why he was so set on helping Gaara. Naruto did share the fact that Minato was Suna's lost son and his father with Raza. Raza went from scowling at the boy's early treatment and proceeded to gape and stare more and more at Naruto as he explained his life to him. When the story was finally over after 20 minutes, and another 5 minutes for Raza to recompose his thoughts, Raza finally spoke. I understand the need for secrecy and discretion in this matter. No matter what, Naruto Senju Uzumaki, you have my word as the Kazekage of Sunagakure that your secrets are safe with me. My village is indebted to you, and I am forever grateful to you as Gaara's father. You don't know how close I was to killing my heart for the sake of my village. Raza inclined his head to the tiny blonde. You are most welcome, Raza. I know it is odd coming from a small child, which is why I developed my transformations and their personalities. In return for your secrecy, I will add the condition that the Senju will never raise a hand against Sunagakure unless we are provoked to do so. Naruto responded. Raza shot a look at Tsunade, who simply nodded, before returning his gaze to Naruto. That is a most welcome addition to our agreement. Would you care to be engaged to my daughter while you are at it? Raza wasn't stupid, he knew the power this boy would come to wield in time, especially when Konoha learned of his true lineage. No offense, Papa Raza, but I am 5. I will get to know Temari in the future and be a friend to her, but I would request that both of our parents resist the urge to play matchmaker. If it is meant to be, it will be. Naruto replied formally. Raza felt the switch from friendly to professional and he knew he shouldn't push too hard on this front. Very well, we will let fate play itself out. I will introduce you to the children as Tsunade's grandson and tell them that Rias needed to leave the village. Is that acceptable? Tsunade frowned. Raza, please don't, not yet. In time, when they can be trusted to keep a secret, they can be told. For now, let's just say that his is my ward or something. Raza nodded sadly. Very well, it is a sad thing that such things must be hidden out of fear in this shinobi world. Raza lamented. Naruto pointed a finger to his chest in a childish and boastful manner. Don't you worry, Papa Raza, I will change the world for the better. By the time I am done, nobody will have to hide who they are out of fear of others. Believe it. This comment achieved the desired result and Raza laughed. Also, I think I can help Suna. Would you be willing to pay fair prices for Uzumaki seals, installed by me, of course? Raza snapped back into professional mode. What kind of seals are we talking about? I want to help make the desert more bearable. I will agree to instruct your shinobi on temperature control seals for your buildings. I can offer an intent-based screening seal and a truth seal for your front gate. I can offer scanning seals that can locate underground water reserves. And since you will not be able to reveal this information, I have the Mokuton bloodline, and I will grow fruit trees and assorted plants for your village. Raza's jaw continued to drop further and further, and it hit his desk when he processed the implications of Naruto's bloodline. Why? Why would you do all of this for Suna? Raza was shocked by the faraway look in the boy's eyes. It definitely didn't belong in the eyes of such a young child. Please understand that there are things I am not willing to share with you and that I will never be able to share with you. I am bound by a contract of my own and I cannot reveal such information. For now, please accept that I hold a deep love and growth in my heart for Sunagakure and its people. I wish to help them prosper and make their lives better in any small way I can. Tsunade put a reassuring hand on her grandson's shoulder. He isn't lying to you, Raza. He is bound by a more powerful contract than the blood contract that you will need to sign. He is also being truthful when he speaks of his love for Suna. Raza picked his jaw up off the desk and reattached it before speaking again. Very well, I would like all of the above offered seals. I will pay a premium price to the Senju family for each one. Tsunade nodded. As the Senju clan head, I will accept 3S. Ranked missions pay for the instruction on the temperature seals and the rights to use them freely. Each seal on your front gate will be the cost of 2S. Ranked missions. The water scanning seals will start at A, B. Rank pay and bonuses will be added based on results. The orchards will each cost an A. Ranked missions pay per square acre. Do you find these terms acceptable? Raza did some calculations in his head and knew that Suna didn't have the money ready up front for such costs. He sighed sadly before responding. Suna cannot afford the offered. Sorry for cutting you off, Lord Kazekage. What if we offered it on an interest-free, 5-year plan? Naruto offered. Raza thought it over and nodded as a smile cracked open his face. That would work. Yay. Thanks, Papa Raza, you won't regret it. I am going to change the shinobi world for the better. Naruto jumped and shot a fist in the air in a childish manner. Raza's smile widened as he looked down on the boy that could possibly become the savior of Suna before he looked at Tsunade. So, you will not be returning directly to Konoha. Could I offer you a place to stay in Suna until the time come for you to leave? Tsunade shook her head in the negative. My apologies, Raza. I do not wish to draw unnecessary attention to my family before we are ready to deal with the ramifications. How about we stop by for a couple weeks twice a year? You can save any sealing jobs you need us to do, and we will make a routine out of it. That will let the kids bond and avoid drawing so much attention to us. That sounds great, Raza replied. The rest of the meeting was Naruto writing out the Uzumaki blood contract with all three parties present signing it. Raza introduced Naruto to his children, and Naruto had a shadow clone constantly hanging out with the kids as he completed sealing jobs around Suna. He gave Chio a detailed scroll on the temperature control seal along with daily instruction. By the end of the first week, she was able to make her own seal and control the temperature in her home. She would be responsible for training a new generation of sealing apprentices, and Naruto gave her copies of Uzumaki Fuinjutsu levels 1 through 3. He thought it was fair since they paid a hefty sum for the rights to the seal. For his work around Suna, Naruto had a lot of fun running around in the teenage form of Hashirama Senju, which drew incredulous looks from those old enough to remember the legendary shinobi. Naruto started at the front gate and secured Suna. He laughed his ass off when Raza conducted an emergency evacuation drill a week later as an excuse to get everyone out of the village and have them go through the seals. That day was referred to as the Great Sand Massacre by the spy networks of every nation. Naruto was also able to locate one massive reservoir of water buried nearly a mile and a half underneath of Suna, and he said it would be an extensive endeavor last many years to get that water closer to the surface, but he would help Raza do it. To put it in perspective, it was an underground lake twice the size of Suna. Raza was overjoyed, and when he shared the news with the Suna Council, they immediately began a village-wide engineering effort to gain access to the water. Finally, whispers of the jubilant Senju teen that was running around the village and planting orchards of fruit trees throughout Suna spread like a wildfire. After cleaning out the foreign spies, Raza spoke to his people and declared that anybody who speaks of the mystery Senju to an outsider will be considered a traitor of Sunagakure. Most people willingly and readily agreed to those terms because they were so appreciative of the Senju family. In addition to working, Naruto used the 2 weeks to get to know his friends better. The kid Gaara was still quiet and reserved, but he was so much better than the previous version that Naruto couldn't stop happy tears from falling. The tiny redhead would see the crying blonde boy and he offered him his prized teddy bear on many occasions to make him feel better. The two became fast friends, even if Naruto did most of the speaking in the relationship. Naruto found sweet relief in the oddities of Kankuro as a child. Makeup, dolls and even a dollhouse demonstrated to Naruto that the odd boy was always destined to be a puppeteer. He offered words of encouragement along with a healthy dosage of ribbing to his old friend to help him accept his chosen path as a puppeteer. Naruto really bonded with Kankuro while watching cartoons and reading manga though, since it was one childhood passion Naruto never had the chance to engage in, and Kankuro was a true weeb in that sense. Strangely enough, Naruto found it easiest to talk to Temari. The future blonde beauty was every bit as stubborn and driven as Naruto remembered. Naruto, or a clone of his, was dragged out daily to the training grounds to work on Temari's chakra and wind control. It was slow moving, but not every kid had the memories of a previous life to help them along. The distraction training offered was a blessing and sweet relief from hauntings of that past that seemed to plague Naruto less and less as his new life in this world truly began. End of flashback. Suna stomped up to the front gates of Konoha with a begrudging look on her face. The only solace she took in this was that their new compound in Wave Country was under construction and she would only need to spend a week in Konoha before heading out. Suna handed the ID cards over to Izumo and Kotetsu with a massive chip on her shoulder, which scared the crap out of the two gate guards. The two were so scared that they didn't even question seeing Rias Maki walking alongside the legendary slug Sannin. Suna keyed Naruto and Shizune into the Senju compound and dropped them off before she stomped her way to the Hokage Tower. She blew past the secretary and nearly threw Hiruzen's doors off of their hinges as she entered the room. The Anbu was smart enough not to react to the enraged Sannin, and they even listened to her order. Suna scowled at Hiruzen and the two elders before she growled, "Anbu, get the hell out, now." Hiruzen nodded and four blurs left the room before he activated the privacy barrier Naruto gave him. Cut the shit, Hiruzen. You three have a lot to answer for, and if you want to walk out of this office, you will answer my questions. Sunad shouted. Homura began to stand, but Sunad blurred to him with chakra scalpels activated and severed the axillary nerves to both of his legs. Koharu was about to speak but wisely shut her trap when Sunad's fierce glare turned on her. Once she was properly cowed, she turned her head to Hiruzen. For the sake of your health, you better tell me the truth and only the truth. Did you know Minato was my son? She hissed in a low and menacing tone. All three geriatric old farts had their eyes widened to the size of sake saucers at the Sannin's words. Finally, Hiruzen was able to respond. No, it couldn't be. What couldn't be, sensei? The venom in the word sensei made Hiruzen Sarutobi, the god of shinobi, visibly flinch. Minato couldn't be, he couldn't be your son. Hiruzen said, sounding mighty unsure of himself. Why couldn't he be? Because that would mean that you three put the last male Senju heir in an orphanage where you allowed his abuse for 4 years before you allowed said orphanage to kick him out on his birthday and left him at the mercy of the mob. Screw you all. Suna roared and she slapped Hiruzen with a fierce open hand on his left cheek and sent him flying into the wall. You all stood by while that happened to my grandson. Suna roared and the whole Hokage tower was flooded with ki. Pounding could be heard on the door, but the barrier held. We didn't, we didn't know, Sunad. Koharu stuttered out meekly, truly terrified of the enraged Sannin. The words of the poor elder had the effect of turning Sunad's wrath on her and a dangerous growl emitted from the back of Sunad's throat. You listen to me, and you listen to me well, you are old, has been shit stains. I am leaving the village for the next 6 years and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. I have informed Kinji of your offenses via letter and I will be going to the capital personally to negotiate with him. I am taking my grandson, Jinchuriki or no, and you will leave me and my family the alone until we see fit to grace Konoha with our presence again. If that old, evil cripple so much as sends a single one of his roots my way, I will return to this village and wreak havoc on it until I find him and pound him into dust. For the life of me, the boy wouldn't listen to me and still insists on becoming a Konoha shinobi to honor his parents. You will keep my sons and grandsons' idines a secret until I see fit to grace the world with such knowledge. Finally, Hiruzen, do not send Jiraiya my way until I call for him. I will confirm with blood tests, but Jiraiya is Minato's true father. You are not to tell that perverted toad about his, my son's or my grandson's heritage, that honor is mine. Now, I will be in the village for 1 week. I will not be called to any council meetings. I will not be bothered by your Anbu or civilian police and I will not tolerate any direct or indirect actions against my family. Now, open the Hokage vault and get my grandfather's scroll. I, as the Senju clan head, no longer see fit to trust Konoha with it. Sunad was shouting and flaring her ki throughout the whole monologue. Hiruzen had never been this terrified of his student, who was clearly imbued with the divine wrath of a scorned mother. Homura and Koharu were barely holding on to the consciousness, and they were struggling to breathe under the true weight of a legendary Sannin's anger. If she wasn't so enraged, she would have savored the looks on the wrinkled geriatrics' faces. Sunad, please be reasonable. Hiruzen begged. Sunad ed an eyebrow. Reasonable. Go yourself, sensei. Was Naruto's treatment reasonable? I could give a less about your excuses because the answer is no. You have my boy to thank for this enhanced treaty with Suna, by the way, so why don't you take turns shoving it up your wrinkled asses? She threw the treaty scroll as Hiruzen and the scroll slammed into Hiruzen's nose and broke it. Hiruzen wiped the blood from his nose and tried to fix a firm gaze on Sunad. Where will you go? None of your business. Anyone that follows me or attempts to find me will be killed without mercy and I will ship their bodies back to you. If you think I am mad, imagine what Kinji will do when he finds out that not only was Minato a Senju, but you lied to him about his son, who happens to be the sole heir and daimyo of Whirlpool Country. I will make you suffer, Hiruzen Sarutobi, until I see fit to end your suffering. You ed up and I am the agent of the Reaper now. Now get me my grandfather's scroll and the forbidden scroll of seals that my son made. I almost forgot about that one. You can't. That holds village secrets and would endanger village security. Koharu shouted, fed up with the enraged Sannin. We could never prioritize the needs of one boy over the village, regardless of his lineage. That was the wrong thing to say, and the elder knew it as soon as the words exited his mouth. Sunad turned to him slowly with the visage of the Shinigami hovering behind her. Before Hiruzen could react, Sunad broke both of Koharu's legs and a green scalpel slid across his male genitalia. It would take Koharu months to realize that he was now completely impotent. Sunad ignored the man's screams and turned to Hiruzen. I won't ask again, Hiruzen. Get me the scrolls or I return here with the fire daimyo and a samurai guard. The complete loathing in her tone cut off any retort the old monkey had. Very well. I will expect approval for this from the fire daimyo in the next month. Neither you nor I can authorize such actions alone. Kami, you are pathetic, sensei. You have lost your touch and your will of fire. At least my grandson has it. Try not to this pathetic village up too badly and he may be able to fix it in time. Tsunade shot back. Hiruzen went into the Hokage vault and brought out 2 large scrolls for Tsunade, who sealed this into a seal on her wrist. One last thing, every dime you old stole from the Uzumaki and Namikaze accounts will be returned, with interest, before we return to this village. Now, don't ask or attempt to see me again until such a time that I deem it acceptable. With that, Tsunade Senju, the Slug Sannin and Senju Princess, kicked the Hokage's doors off their hinges. 3 unaware Anbu were caught in their path and would require a trip to the hospital, along with Counselor Koharu. Hiruzen waved the Anbu into his office and each agent was stunned to see the handprint on their Hokage's cheek. Should we pursue and arrest her, Lord Hokage? Lion asked. Hiruzen sighed and rubbed his eyes. No, Lion, no Anbu will approach Tsunade for the duration of her stay in the village. Make sure that order is disseminated. Also, get Counselor Koharu to the hospital as well as those Anbu caught in the collateral damage. Hi, Lord Hokage, it will be done. Tsunade scoffed as rumors spread about her throughout the village. Nobody knew why she was so mad at the Hokage or why she never spoke to anyone in the streets. The only public sighting of the Senju clan was the meeting at Ichiraku Ramen with a familiar red-headed teen. During her stay, Tsunade ran blood tests confirming the supposed lineage of Minato, Naruto and even Jiraiya. She would hold on to that piece of knowledge until the time was right to play it. Time skip, 4 years later, main island of the Land of Waves. 4 years passed in a serene peace as Naruto, Tsunade and Shizune enjoyed their villa on the island about a mile away from Tazuna's house. After seeing Naruto's memories, Tsunade readily agreed to set up in Wave Country and she opened a clinic there. The Senju family brought a prosperity to Wave Country that was unseen since the island country's formation. Tsunade alone was responsible for people coming from around the elemental nations to receive advanced medical treatments. Wave profited off hosting those families throughout their stay on the island and hotels were built to accommodate an increase in visitors and tourists. Shizune worked alongside Tsunade as her apprentice to study the healing arts and hone her skills as a combat medic and future doctor. She enjoyed the stability of their island villa and the high social status the family bore on the island. Their fame and influence easily eclipsed that of the Wave daimyo, Klim, who was nothing special whatsoever. Shizune rescued a tiny baby pig that was wandering through the village one day and named it Tun Tun. Naruto couldn't stop himself from laughing at the iron wills of fate or destiny, he didn't know which one was responsible for the fated pair. A year ago, Shizune began dating one of Kaise's friends, a studly fisherman named York, who used to work as security for merchant vessels. Naruto still remembers the day that York learned to fear tiny blonde children, and it is one of Naruto's favorite memories. Flashback, May 8th, just over a year ago. Shizune was running around the house and fretting about her clothes. Naruto heard the commotion and decided to investigate, which caused Naruto to walk in on a scene that made Naruto break out in fits of laughter. Shizune had her whole wardrobe out of the closet and clothes were hung up all over the walls, laid out on the bed, covering the floor and almost every other space Naruto could see in the room. As Naruto entered the room, Tun Tun squealed in a request for aid from Naruto before the tiny pig jumped into his arms. What's wrong, Tun Tun? Has Big Sis gone crazy? Naruto asked sarcastically. Oink, 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 oink. Tun Tun was nodding her head and speaking faster than usual. Oh really? My sister has a date. Oh, how fun. Naruto exclaimed as his prankster look crept upon his face. No, Ruto, I forbid you from getting involved. Shizune shouted as she shimmied into another outfit. You can't stop me, sis. Not even if you tried. Go with the yellow sundress with white petals. It really suits your eyes. Naruto suggested. Shizune froze and looked frantically around the room for the clothing Naruto recommended. She found it laid out on the floor, shook it out, stripped off whatever she was wearing and tried it on before examining herself in the mirror. She twisted and turned to make sure it looked right before patting her shoulder-length hair down. She turned to Naruto before asking, so, what do you think? Naruto smiled in a brotherly way. I think if he doesn't say you look beautiful in the first 10 seconds, then you eat as much as you can and leave him with the bill. Shizune shot a stern gaze at Naruto. Look, lil brother, I like this guy, and this is my first ever date. Don't ruin it for me. Naruto held his hands up in a gesture of innocence. What could lil ol me do? Plus, I am happy for you, sis. I just want to make sure he is worthy of such a fine young woman. Shizune ed an eyebrow at him. You do know how strange that sounds coming from a 9-year-old, right? Actually, I am a 23-year-old trapped in a child's body, which technically makes you my little sister. Which means I have every right to protect you. Naruto shot back. Grr. Don't ruin this for me, Ruto. Shizune said before she tossed a pair of jeans at him. Okay, geez. Add in a yellow hair clip and that necklace I gave you for your birthday last year and maybe the yellow, low heel strap on sandals. I love you. I just remembered I got to go into the village. Naruto set Tun Tun down and dashed out of the house. Shizune sighed as Tun Tun ran into her arms. I know, Tun Tun. He is such a troublesome brother. But I think he was right about the additions to my outfit. Shizune began tossing all of her clothes into the closet before she found the recommended items. After putting them on, she expected herself in the mirror and a pleased smile flashed onto her face. Then, in a panic, she ran into the bathroom to brush her teeth and apply some perfume. York was 21 years old, 6 feet tall, with tousled brown hair and a fairly handsome man. He had run into Shizune at the clinic where she had healed one of his fishing injuries. After talking about her to Kaisa, his best friend, he worked up the courage to ask the Senju girl out. He was terrified of Suna, having heard of her legendary strength, and he was also wary of her little brother. The kid ran around the village and worked like crazy. Everyone sang the kid's praises like he was Kami's gift to wave. Too bad he didn't realize how right they were. He had put on his best clothes, picked up a bouquet of flowers, and he was walking to the Senju villa to pick Shizune up for her date. He was whistling a tune to himself as he jaunted down the road and tried to work up his confidence as he approached the Senju estate. The road was lined with sakura trees that really made it beautiful this time and year, and they contributed to his high spirits. All of a sudden, York's ankle was surrounded by a thin tree branch, and he was hoisted into the air and came to rest with his head at a blonde boy's eye level. The boy wore a nonchalant look on his face while he locked eyes with York as he dangled from the tree branch. The experienced seaman paled at the strength and depth of the azure blue eyes, and his breath hitched in his throat. Nice tar, meetcha, I assume you are York? The boy asked, and York nodded. Cool, first guess and I was right. Well, Mr. York, I am Naruto Senju, brother of Shizune Senju. Do you understand why I have you in such a unique position? No, not really. York answered. Well, you see, Mr. York, I may be an overprotective brother, but that just depends on who you ask. This seal here, Naruto showed the tag to York, is a truth seal. If you lie to me, this little guy will let me know. If you lie to me, do I need to finish that for you? No. York answered, his voice cracked with fright. Naruto put his gigawatt smile on as he patted York on the shoulder. Good. I am happy to hear that, Mr. York. Okay. First question, what are your intentions with my sister Shizune? I think that she is really pretty, and I want to get to know her. York answered in a rush and the seal glowed blue. Naruto smiled, we are off to a good start, Mr. York. Does the Senju name or fortune have anything to do with you asking my sister out? Naruto added some ki and a stern gaze to this question. York nearly pissed himself at the intimidating blonde. No. I just met her at the clinic when she healed me, and I asked her out. Another blue glow and a smile from Naruto. No need to be so scared, Mr. York. Final question, do you agree to wait to sleep with my sister until marriage? York fixed his gaze on the young boy's eyes. Yes, I do. I will treat her right, you have my word. Very good. Naruto said as he clapped his hands and dropped York back onto the road. I trust we can keep this meeting between us men. Naruto said while extending a hand. Sure thing, kid. York returned the handshake to Naruto and found that it really hurt. Good. I will start by giving you a tip. Shizune's favorite flower is the yellow sun lily. Roses are a little too presumptuous for a first date. Naruto put his hands on the ground and closed his eyes in concentration. York was speechless and he watched a bundle of yellow sun lilies grow out of the ground. Naruto used a wind blade to make an even cut on the stems before he handed the new bouquet to York. I think I am going to like you, Mr. York. Please treat my sister well and enjoy your date. York stood in a stunned silence, clutching the bouquet of lilies, as he watched the boy walk away whistling the same jaunty tune he was whistling earlier. Unreal. That kid is terrifying, he whispered under his breath. End of flashback. After that first date, Shizune and York became one of the island's most prominent couples, alongside Kaisa and Tsunami. The young couples took up prominent leadership roles in the town and helped to keep Wave moving in the right direction. Tsunami agreed to be the first teacher at the new school that Naruto built with Tazuna's guidance. The island had a healthy population of children that had no place to go to get an education, a problem that the Senju family was more than happy to fix. Tazuna's family were great friends of the Senjus and Naruto would often be contracted by Tazuno for his Mokuton jutsu. The kid could erect the complete frame of a house in under a minute, which was insane. Of course, Naruto made Tazuna, and his family, swear to never reveal this secret to anybody, which they readily agreed to. Naruto thanked the family by erecting apple, orange and pear orchards in their backyard for them. The 3-year-old Inari loved to run in the orchard and play with his big brother, Naruto. It was new memories like this that gradually healed Naruto's soul and overwrote the nightmares of the past. Naruto was walking through the lively town of Ushio, the main village on the main island of Wave Country, when he spotted a man he hoped to never see again. A fat little midget of a man in a 3-piece suit was walking through the town like he owned the place with 10 men armed with katanas behind him. Kurama worked overtime to suppress the flow of his chakra due to the strong emotions and memories this little midget elicited. Naruto couldn't stop the growl that escaped his throat, and he didn't understand why his world suddenly went black. Naruto woke up inside a house inside of his mindscape. He didn't remember a house being in Kurama's mindscape, and he didn't understand why there were 2 voices just chatting away. Naruto sat up from a bed in his mindscape and the 2 no-so strangers turned their heads and looked at him with googly eyes. What's going on? Naruto asked, extremely weary of the intruders in his mindscape. All of a sudden, the little blonde girl jumped to her feet and yelled, Kurama. He is awake. After thunderous pounding of paws, a dog-sized, 9-tailed fox with a reddish-orange coat walked into the small house. The fox locked eyes with Naruto before he let out a sigh. Kit, sit down and listen, please. Kurama said in a commanding tone, which got an immediate response from Naruto as he sat in a chair across the living room from Kurama. Okay, Kit, this is going to be tough to hear, but I think you already have an idea. Naruto nodded in a way that said get to the point. Okay, well at this point, you have 3 distinct and separate personalities. This is the first time that Yosuke has ever taken direct control from you, and I have severed the connection to the outside. You have had enough death in your first lifetime. I guess I will start with hello Rias and Hikari, it is nice to formally meet you. Naruto opened with an awkward grace. Now, if they are here, this Yosuke personality has taken control. I don't remember ever using that idini. Kurama sighed before he crossed the living room and jumped into Naruto's lap. To be honest, Kit, you haven't really needed it up till this point. This is the first time he has left the seal. He is your war veteran personality. The part of you that will do the right thing and do what needs to be done no matter what. So, he is slaughtering Gato and his men before they can ruin this country. Naruto asked, his mind focused on the problem. You are taking this rather well, little brother. Rias said while eyeing him with an analytical gaze. Unexplained incidents at night over the past 4 years isn't exactly low-key. I felt your personality first, Rias. After my medical training with Mama, I kinda figured it out. That being said, why did you hide this from me during my previous visits to the mindscape, Kurama? Kurama fidgeted nervously on Naruto's lap, and he was sad that the petting stopped. I was waiting for your mind to heal, Kit. Kami really ed up when she put your fractured soul in the body of a child and the first thing you got when coming back to this world was, yeah, you get it. Naruto resumed his petting and spoke impassively. I thank you for looking out for me, Q, but if you ever hide something like this from me again, I am going to lock you in a tiny room with my best imitations of Might Guy and Rock Lee for a whole month. Everyone in the room froze in horror at the thought of such a punishment. That was beyond cruel and sadistic, to the point the Ibiki Marino would never do something so devoid of humanity. Kurama was really fidgeting in Naruto's lap and the petting continued. Why you wouldn't do that to me. You wouldn't do that to your soulbound partner, would you? For one of the first times in his life, Kurama was actually scared. Naruto shrugged, who knows? Test me and find out. He replied nonchalantly in a manner that terrified the occupants of the room. Hikari-chan, please age yourself to match me. Having a feminine perspective would be a good thing, but I won't always need a kid. Feel free to take what information you need from myself or Rias, just don't take anything from Yosuke. I would like to preserve your innocence for a while. Rias, please share your memories with me, I wish to know what I have missed from your perspective. Rias shuffled nervously and rubbed her fingers together while avoiding eye contact. Are you sure? I don't think you really want my memories. Naruto smiled and nodded. Yes, I am sure. If we are going to make this work, we need to trust each other. I will let each of you out more often to stretch your legs. If you behave, I will include you in that offer as well. Kurama perked up and strained his neck to look up at Naruto. Are you serious, Kit? I can get out of the seal. Naruto shrugged, I don't see why not. If they can leave the seal, I am sure we can find a way for you to do it. I will have to learn to use your yokai exclusively and allow you to force your consciousness into a shadow clone. With the seal open, it should be entirely possible. Kurama licked Naruto's face in excitement for the first time. He was so excited that he shelved his pride and showed his partner how much he appreciated the thought. After Kurama's excitement faded and was replaced by a stunned shame, the conversation continued. Big brother, I know I am like you, but what do you need me for? Hikari asked with puppy dog eyes. Naruto smiled at the little girl. Well, I believe you represent my pure, untainted childlike innocence. You are probably a bit of a knucklehead, am I right? Hikari looked sheepish while Rias laughed. Kami, Naruto, you are taking this a lot better than I expected you to. And you, Rias-chan, are probably my wild side. I am guessing that you love to gamble, and you love the nightlife. Do you pay for hookers, or do you hook up with women at the bars? It was Rias' turn to look sheepish. Rather than answer, Rias walked over to Naruto and put a hand on his head. A flood of memories from the last 5 years hit Naruto, and they were almost exclusively at nighttime. His guess was right on the money as 90% of the memories were of casinos, bars and bedrooms. Naruto was impressed at the caliber of women that Rias bedded, and he realized he was slightly jealous as he wiped a trickle of blood from his nose. Rias-chan, I have a weird request. Next time you go out for a nightly jaunt, could you wake me up when it gets to the fun part? At Rias' eyebrow, he explained further. I didn't exactly have a lot of experience in my previous life. I want to know how to please my future partner and I was hoping you could teach me. It was Naruto's turn to look sheepish and break eye contact while Kurama snickered on his lap. Rias was taken aback. She had never considered it from Naruto's perspective. She put a loving smile on her face and wrapped Naruto in a warm hug. Sure thing, Ruto. By the time I am done with you, you will be a pro. Naruto returned the hug and leaned into the embrace. He didn't care that he may or may not be hugging himself. All he knew is at this time it felt like his family grew. At least, that was how Naruto chose to see it. Naruto spent the next few hours chatting with his new family and getting to know the other aspects of himself better. It was a merry occasion and eventually Hikari came over and joined the cuddle session on Naruto's lap while Rias watched on with a truly loving gaze. Suddenly, Naruto sensed another presence in the house and turned to see a dark-haired teen in red battle armor. When the teen turned to address him, Naruto gasped. Why do you look like my teenage great-grandpa? He asked. Because our great-grandpa was a true warrior that fought courageously. He may have been a bit naive, but I have purged that aspect and I have no qualms about doing what needs to be done. The boy answered in a flat and respectful tone. Naruto placed a sleeping Hikari on the chair with Kurama and the small girl wrapped herself up in his tails. Naruto walked calmly over to boy and extended his hand. I know this may be awkward, but moving forward we need to work with each other. I am Naruto Senju Uzumaki, and I appreciate you looking out for me. Yosuke cast a skeptical glance at Naruto before a small smile graced his face. Nice to meet you. I am Yosuke, and I am your warrior aspect. Don't be scared to call on me for advice. I am everything ninja related that you have ever learned without all of the knucklehead that used to round you out. The two boys shook hands and smiled at one another. So, I can use you as a sparring partner. If you want to get your ass kicked, sure. Yosuke shot back. Naruto laughed heartily. A good ass kicking never killed nobody. That is how I learn. Naruto's face and tone changed to a serious one. I need to see the memories of what you did out there, and I need to know if there was anything we need to cover up. Very well. Flashback. Immediately after Naruto blacked out, Yosuke came to and scowled as he watched Gato enter a local restaurant. He followed him and his men into the restaurant and watched them torment the waitress. Luckily, there were good men in wave that stood up to the midget tyrant. A group of men gathered and forced the midget and his posse out of the restaurant. Yosuke nodded to them before he exited the restaurant to continue tailing Gato. The little midget was ranting about how he would make the disrespectful pay for their offense. Yosuke followed Gato out to a massive cargo liner that was anchored away out to sea. He used water walking to follow the boat and remain unseen. He climbed aboard the ship and began scouting it out, and he was enraged to see the room is the bottom of the ship with the sign, Streeter, written over the head of the door. It took all of his warrior training not to go completely berserk then and there. In the room were 22 women of ages ranging from 12 to 30 that were chained to the wall and looked like their spirits were broken. Along with the women, there were 12 men that were using and abusing the women. Yosuke retained his composure long enough to erect a privacy barrier before he snapped. He could no longer restrain his rage and he slaughtered the men like the pigs they were. The unfortunately gruesome sight caused the women to scream in terror, especially the ones that got an impromptu blood shower, but he was able to calm them down after a couple minutes. Look, ladies, I apologize for what has happened to you. I am going to end Gato and every man on this boat tonight, but I need you to stay calm and follow my orders. Can you do that for me? Yosuke asked in a quiet and gentle tone. The girls nodded before one of the older women stepped forward. Thank you for helping us, but we have nowhere to go and if we leave Gato will kill us. Yosuke just returned the doubt with a smile. Mom, I promise you. If you trust me, I will make a home for you all in Wave Country. As far as Gato goes, as I said before, he will die tonight, you have my word. The pretty, black-haired woman nodded sadly at that. Okay, I will trust you. Ladies, once you are out of your restraints, we need to listen to this man. We are in your hands, good sir. The woman shot a genuine smile at Yosuke, which filled his warrior's heart with a warm and fuzzy feeling. Yosuke created 20 clones that began freeing the women from their restraints and Yosuke spoke up above the noise. First things first, are there any more girls on the ship? Second, what is your name, ma'am? The lady smiled broadly before responding. I am Himawari Yuki, and I was taken from Kiri by Gato. There are 2 more girls, a blonde and a brunette, that will be in Gato's private chambers. It is nice to know the Yuki are still alive. I am putting you in charge of this group. I need them to remain silent and follow my clone's lead. I will leave 5 clones with you. I want you to give me a 10-minute head start before you go to the ship's deck and get to the evacuation boats. I am going to kill every man on this ship and then blow it sky high, so be sure to stick to the plan. Am I understood? Yosuke spoke in a stern tone, which earned him nods from the scantily clad women dressed in rags. Alright, just be strong for a little longer and everything will work out. Yosuke disappeared after flashing the girls a smile. He left 5 clones that knew what needed to be done and began clearing out the ship floor by floor. He unsealed his mother's sword, Benihim, he didn't feel like changing the name to honor his mother's memory, and created 100 shadow clones. They wordlessly set to work clearing out the ship. Yosuke was able to make it to the ship deck before the alarms began sounding. Men flooded out onto the deck of the ship with weapons drawn and ready. A feral grin spread over Yosuke's face and his features darkened. He was drawing out the QB cloak, but he was keeping it controlled enough to where it just hovered over his skin. In a blur of motion, Yosuke and his clones continued the bloody massacre. 20 minutes after leaving the captured girls on the bottom level, Yosuke made it to Gato's floor. It was at the top of the control tower and there wasn't exactly a lot of room. 10 men stood outside a double door made of oak and each man looked more nervous than the next. When they saw the blood-covered form of Yosuke in his battle armor, 3 of them pissed themselves and 1 fainted at the killing intent flooding the area. All 10 men died to Benihime in less than 5 seconds. Unsurprisingly, the door to Gato's chambers was locked and reinforced. Yosuke took his time taking out his sealing kit and he created 4 directional explosive seals that he attached near the hinges of each door. With a gleeful look on his face, he stepped around a corner before forming a ram hand sign. The explosion shook the control tower and sent the doors flying to Gato's private room. Oh, lucky me. I got one of the wannabe samurai with my little trick. So, Gato, tell me what brings you to Wave. Yosuke strode through the doorway slowly with Benihime held in his right hand, still trickling blood onto the floor. The little midget was in full panic mode as he hid behind one of his, I was looking to expand my business to Wave Country. He stuttered out in a truly pathetic manner. Waragi, the last remaining guard of the midget wannabe tyrant, stepped forward. You will go no further. You are not worthy to enter Gato-sama's quarters. Without moving his head, Yosuke shifted his gaze to Waragi and remembered him from his previous life. Oh really, you samurai wannabe? What ya gonna do bout it? Waragi's confidence took a hit from the cold tone and the density of the killing aura coming from the unknown intruder. Gato decided to play his cards. What is it you want? I have money, women, power, influence. Name your price and I will hire you to be one of my men. Silence, pig. I live a warrior's life. I care not for such petty things. What I want is your head and the end of every vile wretch on this planet that thinks like you. You lie, cheat and steal from others and call their hard work your wealth. You use that wealth to hire petty thugs and call that power. You have nothing that interests me, except your head. Yosuke disappeared in a blur and beheaded Waragi before he could even move. Gato squealed like the pig he was as a bloody Benihime rested on his neck. Yosuke bent down and whispered in his ear. Open that safe, sign over everything you own and turn yourself into the police. If you do that, I may let you live. Gato was a civilian-born man with a lack of empathy and a decent mind for business. He was used to playing dirty and he got so good at it that he became one of the richest men in the world. All of that now meant nothing, and he knew it. Everything is in the safe. I cannot sign the companies to you because I do not carry the deeds on me. If you let me live, I can arrange for their transfer. Gato squealed out. Yosuke sighed. Very well, for now, open the safe and tell me where any other valuables are located on the ship. I am going to give them to the women you uprooted and nearly destroyed. After Gato unlocked the safe and told Naruto where the other valuables were stashed, he created a small army of shadow clones that each took a sealing scroll. He then turned to the 2 ladies that were in a state of shock on the bed and flashed them a kind smile. Ladies, the nightmare is over. If you wish to be free and get off this ship, I recommend you follow my clone here. Last call is coming soon, and you don't want to stick around for the fireworks. The girls nodded their heads, still in a state of shock. The clone helped them get dressed and escorted them through the mess of bodies outside. Yosuke turned to Gato, who was quivering in fear. He gave a piece of paper to Gato, who took it and looked at it curiously. With a pulse of chakra, Gato fell to the floor completely paralyzed. All right, Gato, as I told you. I won't kill you, but if I were you, I would start praying to Kami that the response team is fast enough to save this ship from drowning. Say hello to Yami for me. Yosuke said in a bitterly cold tone. After confirming the safe was completely cleaned out, Yosuke walked down the tower's stairs to the deck. He hopped on one of the 2 boats that the group was using to make an escape and the boat's motors pierced the night air with their rhythmic hum. 2 minutes later, 2 Naruto clones were having a gasoline fight. They had set up a series of explosive tags throughout the ship, including the tower, and now the 2 knuckleheads destined for a fiery death were making the most of it. Once the 2 gas cans were empty, the clones locked eyes with one another, performed a super manly high five and then formed the ram hand signs. Yosuke watched from the boat as a fiery series of explosions started from the bottom of the large vessel and worked their way up. The ocean liner lit up like a fireball and less than a minute later began its descent into Davy Jones' locker. Yosuke reveled in the fact that he managed to protect Wave this time around. He saved Kaisa. That would hopefully bring happiness to the people of Wave, whether they knew it or not. Yosuke escorted the girls to the medical clinic for checkups and told them that Tsunade Senju would be here within the hour. Yosuke walked up to Himawari and flashed her a smile. I told you it would be okay. I need to go ask my friend to build you guys a house. Think you could give this note to Tsunade when she arrives here? He asked in a suave manner, like rescuing beautiful ladies was an everyday occurrence. Himawari winked at Yosuke. Sure thing, Hiro-kun. She then stepped up onto her toes and planted a K on Yosuke's lips. This caught the alter ego of our blonde hero off guard. He wasn't made of the positive emotions of his base personality, but this felt good. Elsewhere on the island, Tsunade was resting in her Senju compound, completely content with the life she had with her grandson and adopted daughter. She was more than happy to adopt Dan's little sister, and Shizune became one of the two blessings of her life. Then, Kami literally blessed her with Naruto and gave the two of them a second chance to be a family. Of course, the blonde was an anomaly, and it was anything other than the typical family experience, but it was a blessing, nonetheless. After seeing the past, Tsunade had been able to join Naruto's efforts to change the future, and she had to admit the Neighborhood Watch was an amusing public name to his efforts to change the world for the better. She initially had her reservations, but after thinking about the images she saw in Naruto's memories, it was clearly necessary. Naruto had included her on all of the planning, and they were a two-man team that was out to save the world. She was enjoying a nice quiet night on the porch sipping some sake when a massive explosion was heard around the island. She jumped up onto the roof of her house and looked toward the source of a noise to see a massive fireball and mushroom cloud illuminating the night sky. She sighed knowing that her blonde, Barker, Japanese for idiot, loving Lisa in this case, was involved. She decided to enjoy the rest of her sake before she was eventually dragged in to clean up her grandson's mess. Sure enough, an hour later, a person showed up and entered the compound, but it was not what she was expecting to see. She froze, because standing in front of her was a nearly identical teenage version of her grandfather. The red-plated armor was slightly different, and the teenager lacked her grandfather's warm, intoxicating personality, but the resemblances were uncanny. As her rational mind rebooted, she knew this had to be Naruto, since he was able to bypass the compound's security seals. Good evening, Mama. I know there is a lot to explain, but before we get to that, could you please collect Shizune and go to the clinic? I was able to save over 20 women that were being used as Gato's L, and they could use your gentle touch. Tsunade stuttered when she heard this seeming stranger call her Mama, which only Naruto was allowed to do. However, once she heard the name Gato, things started to make a bit more sense. Naruto. Is that you? The whispered words finally escaped her throat. She watched as sad look crossed the teenage boy's face before he smiled slightly and nodded. Take care of the women there first and we will talk later. I will need Naruto to construct a shelter for the women that wish to stay here. If nothing else, know that my love for you is real, Mama, it is what I fight for after all. Too many thoughts were going through Tsunade's mind simultaneously. She had worked with Shizune to observe Naruto and help him heal, but if she was right then this was one of his alternate personalities. She couldn't blame his mind for fracturing after all he had been through, but to see an alternate personality in its own unique form was interesting. Okay, we will talk when I get home. I expect answers, brat. Yosuke smiled and nodded at his grandmother before he watched her take off into the house to grab Shizune and some supplies. Yosuke walked into Naruto's bedroom after stripping his transformed clothes, which turned into Naruto's white t-shirt with the Senju crest on his chest and beige cargo shorts. Being able to use actual transformations was an amazing ability. Yosuke rinsed off in the shower before putting on a basic white tee and some athletic shorts before he laid down in the bed and closed his eyes. End of flashback. Back inside the mindscape, Naruto reopened his eyes after reviewing the memories. He shook his head to clear his thoughts before he locked eyes with Yosuke. It is not that I don't appreciate you eliminating a threat, but due to your hasty actions you have put our plans at risk, and worse, you risked exposing our family. This goes for all of my personalities, which is a weird thing to say. Naruto shook his head again before a fire lit behind his azure eyes as he glanced at Kurama, Rias and Yosuke before he continued. While I accept your existence and the reasons you were formed, if you forcibly take control of my body again and endanger my family, I will find a way to end you. Naruto ended with his gaze firmly fixed on Yosuke, who was the only one so far to endanger his loved ones. Yosuke bowed his head respectfully. My apologies, I believed what I did was right and necessary. Did it ever occur to any of you to talk to me? Treat me with the same level of trust and respect I am showing you now. Family doesn't lie to each other, and we are a very unique family, if nothing else. Naruto asked, sounding disappointed. Naruto, it was never our intention to deceive you, Rias started. Oh really? How long have you guys been here? According to Momo's psychology books, if you were taking control over the core personality, then you should be developed enough to have your own thoughts and core characteristics. So why not come clean? Naruto asked. We were scared that our core, you and your soul, were in too fragile of a state to accept us. This was the first time I exerted my own will over your own, and for that I apologize. Yosuke answered and bowed to Naruto. I have been around since you were 4. I worked to provide your drive for training and bettering your warrior self, because we all know how necessary that will be in the future. Naruto sighed. Since the beginning, and your warrior's honor never made you feel like you were deceiving me or yourself. If this seems so wrong to me, then you must feel it as well. I did, but I also recognized that your soul needed the love you have received from your family to heal before you could reconcile my existence. Yosuke answered in a direct tone. Naruto threw his hands in the air. Ah, fine, whatever, it feels extremely stupid to argue with myself. We will work this out at a later date, for now it seems like I have a house to build. Yosuke, from your perspective, what else needs to be done for the women to get settled in? For now, they will need the basics, which I am sure you have considered. Moving forward, we will need to find them a role in the community and a way to provide for themselves. Rely on Himawari, she seems to be the natural leader of the group and her spirits are still high. Naruto grew a foxy grin. Hee, I think the warrior hath found his maiden. Once we establish some ground rules, I will let you out to say hello and check in on her. That is not a good idea, Naruto. Yosuke there will be charged with mass murder, even if he did the right thing. He should lay low for a while or go by another name and transformation. Rias offered her opinion. Yeah, I kinda forgot about that. Well, it's a tomorrow problem. See y'all later, Naruto said and shot him a cheeky grin before disappearing from the mindscape. Kurama smirked at the two awake personalities. I told you the kid could handle it. Something as weird as having 3 alternate personalities is what my partner calls a typical Tuesday. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.